Hi, I'm Lisa Capalla. Welcome to Where's Wilmington. Today we're going to be talking about reading. Now before you switch the channel, we've got some really great tips for you on summer reading for teens, for little kids, youth as we're calling them, and for adults. And with us today we have Joanna Breen, who is the teen and adult librarian, or you're representing the teen and adult library portion of the library, right? And next to her is Barbara Robb, and she is the children's librarian. So welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you. I know you guys were here a few months ago talking a little bit about the spring activities, but we really wanted to do a special series about the summer reading program. So I'll start with you, Joanna, a little bit about the teen and adult library reading program. I'm going to guess it's probably easier to motivate teens and adults to read than it would be kids. So we'll talk about some cool tips you can use to help motivate your kids to read. But how do we actually pick, or how do you actually pick the things that go on the summer reading list for the adults and teens?
Well, for the adults and teens, we kind of just assume a little bit that they like to read, and we provide services as librarians, just talking about books with people that come in. And we decided that we wanted to have a little bit of incentive like we do with the kids for adults and teens as well, because as you graduate out of childhood, you're supposed to just read on your own because you love it. But we wanted to give prizes to adults and teens too, because that's kind of what makes it fun in terms of celebrating summer reading more than just reading year-round. So we have the weekly drawings for adults and teens. Every week you can submit books that you've read and little mini book reviews, and you'll be entered into the raffle for a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts gift card.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
You can drink that along with the book you're going to read. That's
exactly.
great.
And so that's just kind of to say, you know, hey, you're reading and it's fun, and coming in to talk to librarians about what you're interested in, and we can help you find books that you like.
So you're rewarding people for their good behavior, which we don't see often in this world, so that is a great thing.
Positive reinforcement.
So folks come in and ask you for guidelines as to what they should read, or do you all kind of read the same book and have a chat about it afterwards? How does that work?
No, I mean, it's up to you. If people want to come in and get suggestions, that's what the librarians are there for. But a lot of people just are reading anyways, so it's just a way to, you know, reward that if they are reading. And people read whatever they want. I mean, I do, and you know, the people that come into the library already do it as well.
We would hope that you would be.
So we have book lists that we make, so if people do want suggestions, so you can come in and grab one. And other means for that. But for the adults in particular, people are reading, and if they want suggestions, we'll give them to them.
Excellent. Now, as far as this drawing that you talked about, does one have to register with the library so that you're aware that we're on the team, so to speak, for these drawings? Or how does that work? Do I just come in and say, hey, I read this, put me in your drawing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really? Oh, okay, great.
I make it real simple. You can come in, we'll have paper slips at the library for books you've read, or you can do it online. There's a form online that you can click. We have a link to summer reading. You would select that you were an adult or a teen, and then you just fill in your name and the book that you read, and that serves as your entry. So it's really kind of not a lot of bells and whistles to participate.
Nice, because we have enough problems getting ourselves to read as it is without filling out a plethora of forms. Right. Now, these drawings are done weekly?
Yeah, for the Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts gift cards, summer reading runs 8 weeks from like June 22nd to August 16th. So in that 8-week period, we'll give out a gift certificate to one adult and to one teen who've won that weekly raffle. And then there's going to be a grand prize raffle at the end of the summer, which is a gift basket of local businesses, goods and services donated from local businesses. And that'll be an accumulation of everyone who's entered the weekly drawings. So if you read one book a week all summer, you'll have 8 entries into the raffle. And if you read 5 books a week all summer, you're a really fast reader, and you'll have 40 entries into the raffle. Okay,
so the more you read, the better your chances are of winning this fabulous, beautiful grand prize. That is really inventive. I know Tina Stewart is the head librarian there, right? So she must have been out pounding the pavement to get all of this, or are you using funding from the library or the Friends of the Library itself?
Yeah, well, exactly. The Friends of the Library, we give them a big thanks. They really support summer reading every year. And so they're kind of cornerstone into pulling this all off. And so
excellent, because without that support, I would imagine it would be tough to fund.
No prizes. No.
Yes, it would be tough to fund anything without really the support. And I know Wilmington's a very generous town. Now, you brought me some goodies here. I don't know if from the glare we'll be able to see this, but this is the adults booklet that explains all of the events for the summer. Tell us a little bit about what things we're going to find in here, because there's some neat stuff going on right here in our town that is in this little brochure. So tell us some of the things that you think are pretty neat that you'd like to do yourself.
Well, some of the events that are in here have passed. So what's coming up, we have an author series that started about a month ago. And so the next authors that are coming are Hallie Efron and Linda Barnes, and they're two really wonderful mystery writers. And they'll be here on July 7th, I believe. Oh no, July 9th.
That's okay.
So they're coming, and that should be a nice talk from them. Oh, and also to backtrack a little bit, we're having raffles at all the summer events too that happen in the summer reading bracket. So if you come to one of our events, even if you're not reading, if you come to an event at the library, we'll be having little raffles there as well.
Okay.
There's also an adventure and a travel series. So we have some mountaineers coming in to talk about their experiences climbing Mount Everest and Mount Kilimanjaro.
Wow.
And a cyclist coming who did this whole big tour. And then there's a craft beer program. And during that, we'll learn about like the history of beer and brewing, and kind of learn about like the local brewery scene.
Neat.
And I think there's going to be samples at
Wow,
that.
that is a lot of stuff.
It's going to be a
now,
good one.
when these guest authors come to speak, do they basically talk about the writing process? Do they talk about their books that are currently out? Do they read from the book? Give us a little bit of a taste of what that's like, because that sounds like that would be kind of neat.
It's a little bit of all of that. It kind of depends on the author. I actually don't know what Linda Barnes and Efron have in store, but usually it's like talking about the craft and like the creative process, and it's also based on kind of the audience interest. So there's Q&A involved, and if it's a smaller audience and it's more intimate and it's more, you know, whatever the participants are interested in.
Right, so it could be as intense or as light as the group really decides.
Right.
Because I was wondering, as a writer, which is what my claim to fame was many years ago, I would love to go and talk to someone about their process and how they do it, the character development, all that. But someone else who might just be a reader might want to know a little bit more, something about where the author came from or where they get the ideas. So actually, both types of readers would be able to benefit from going to something like that, right?
Yeah,
Excellent.
I think because Courtney Sullivan's coming, I think in July as well, and I think she's definitely going to be reading from her book. So that's like a little bit of a plug for her upcoming book. So I think depending on what's going on in the author's career at the time, if they have something they want to kind of push out. Then.
Now, do you have a specific separate program for book signings, or if folks wanted to bring along a book that the particular author wrote, would it be okay to do that?
If you have a book by the author, or I suppose any book at all that you wanted them to sign, you can bring. But for this author series in particular, we do have books that will be available for purchase.
Excellent.
So if you wanted to get one and have it signed, but there's a signing portion built in to the whole author series.
Well, that's really neat. That's a really great opportunity, and you don't have to go to a huge outlet store and sit through all of that. It's right in your own local town. Are these usually held at a specific day and time, or a specific time? Are they in the evening usually?
Evenings. I think they all start at 7.
Okay.
But they're different days of the week.
And we can get all of this by getting the Adult Events Summer 2013 pamphlet. These are available at the library, but you can get all this information online too, right?
Yeah, it's all online. Those are at the library. They're also, we kind of leave them at places around town, so you might be in.
There are some here at WCTV. You can come by and get them here too. Okay, so let's shift our focus from the grown-ups to the teens. Now tell me a little bit about what this is, because this is really neat stuff that you've got on here too. Do you want to grab it and take a look at it while we talk about it?
Yeah, well, for the teens, we have a little bit of an abbreviated program this time around because we're getting a new teen librarian. And so we're going to have a new teen librarian, on July 1st, I think, is the arrival date. But basically, we have the same setup with the teens for the weekly raffles for Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, because we know teens like their coffee too. So we're going to do the same weekly drawing and have the same raffle at the end. But the teens will be getting gift certificates to pizza shops around town. So there'll be a lot of pizza in one teen's future.
Excellent.
And so they can enter the same way easily, basically with the paper slip at the library or online. And then we have a couple events for them at the throughout the summer. And there might be more depending on how the teen librarian starts up. She might want to add some more stuff to the lineup. But as it was without a teen librarian,
Right, so you made a basic program, and she'll either add or subtract based on what she decides will work best for our town.
Right, so I would suggest teens stay tuned, because there could be more added to the bill for them.
Tell us those events that you have on the left-hand side there, the origami and the henna tattoos. Tell us about that. That looks really fun. So that's not about reading, but it's still great.
So the henna tattoos will be at the summer reading kickoff, which is Saturday, June 22nd. And that you need to register for, because henna tattoos take time.
Right.
They're so beautiful. So you would sign up, and then we have an artist coming that will be giving people henna tattoos, and adults can do it too. It's geared toward teens, but adults are welcome to get
and
them
that's
as well.
complimentary. That's included in your registration, correct? There's no fee for that.
Yeah, no, there
is no fee for that. Did you hear that? Those are expensive. I've had them done, and they're very expensive to have done. So it's a nice thing to be able to have just for signing up to do something good for yourself.
Yeah.
And then you've got some beading, I think you're going to do too.
Yeah, and then there's going to be an origami program in July,
which is the Japanese paper folding, right?
Yep. And also in July is the beading for beginners. So if you want to make a bracelet or a necklace, there'll be some beads there, and also a local artist to help you kind of show you some tricks of the trade. And then in August is the historical weapons demo.
That's kind of neat too.
And so there are going to be some battle axes and maces that you can see in action, and that you don't need to register for, just show up.
And all of this information about all these programs that begin when the reading program kicks off on June 22nd, that's all available online and at the library as well, right?
Absolutely.
And again, you can pick those up pretty much any place, right?
Yeah, and the teen flyer, I think, went out to the teens already through school. So
nice, okay.
Hopefully they have one of these on their fridge.
Excellent. So you're a partnership with the schools to get that information out that way too. Yeah, great. Now, what do you think is the most important motivating factor for trying to get teens to read? Because we're going to talk about kids and how we crack that nut, so to speak. But for teens, do you think it's just a question of you're either into reading or you're not?
No, I mean, I think it's a matter of finding the right book or the right author, and like the content that speaks to the teen.
Right.
Because I mean, like anything, like any reader, it's not one size fits all.
True.
You know, some teens might be into things about sports or about relationships or about, coming of age.
Right.
And so there's...
I think I read every Judy Blume book there ever was. But unfortunately, a lot of authors today, except for the Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling's, tend to write one or two books and that's it. I really wish they would write more in a series so kids could get kind of hooked on that one author and go all the way through with them, I'd like to see more of that. But I know it's hard to write a book anyway, but it'd be nice if they could do more in a series, so once you find somebody you like, you can read more of their stuff,
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where the value of the teen librarian comes in. And I'm not a teen librarian, and I don't really read any of the young adult stuff. We call it YA. But they're really kind of tuned in to the authors that do series.
So if you had a teen and you brought them in, or if they went themselves and said, I kind of like this particular author, their style, what would you recommend? They can give you some guidelines from where to go. Excellent. All right, we're going to take our midpoint break here. Can you believe you survived the first 13 minutes? We'll be back right after this, and we're going to talk with Barbara Robb about children's reading and the children's reading program and how you can get your little ones, and maybe your not so little ones, involved in the reading process. So stay with us. We'll be back with more of Where's Wilmington right after this.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Welcome back to Where's Wilmington. We are talking about reading and actually some other really cool stuff that's going on right here at the Wilmington Library. Now, we were talking with Joanna Breen. She is representing the teen and adult librarian faction of the Wilmington Library, but you are not the Wilmington Teens Library right now.
No, I'm the marketing librarian.
So that's good. So you kind of know a little bit about each thing. So we'll accept you as an expert. We'll grandfather you in for that. Now, Barbara's been sitting here waiting patiently to tell me all about the Dig Into Summer Reading program. Here is the little brochure, which I think is totally cute for kids. It's also got a calendar on back here, which is great, so you can track your progress. Tell me a little bit about what kinds of things you've got on tap for the kiddos this year.
Well, we're very excited about our summer reading program. We're using the theme Dig Into Reading, which is being used by libraries all across the country, and they provide the artwork that's on that brochure. And so we have all kinds of activities planned related to the theme, and we have a lot of great stuff to encourage the kids to actually read.
Okay. Now that can be difficult for parents because there's summer camps, there's the beach, and there's just the lazy days of summer where I think some kids maybe feel like, you know, school is for reading and I'm so pressured by the reading I have to do in school. How do you really help them to change their mindset and sort of look at reading as more of a fun time activity than a have to? What would you recommend to parents for that?
Well, I think that there's a lot of different strategies you can use depending on the child and the child's interests. But as Joanna said, similar to adult reading, it's kind of finding the right book, matching the book to the kid's interests, and that's where librarians can come in helping do that.
And I think some of the tips I looked at before you came was one of the things they suggested to do was if you know you're taking your kids to, let's say, a Red Sox game or a Spinners game, maybe you have them look at a book about baseball or the history of baseball or something like that. How do you think it would be to link activities like that? Do you think that's helpful to get kids to read? Do you think
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
We also try to link, I'm going to be talking about some of the programs that we have coming this summer. So like we have a magician coming, for example.
Great.
And we'll try to put up a display of books about magic so that when the kids come to the program and see the magician, they might be motivated to then pick out a book on magic.
Okay.
So lots of our events that are coming up will have reading tie-ins as well.
Which makes sense. Yeah. That's where the marketing piece comes in, right? Okay, tell me about some of these programs that you said there are a lot of things going on. What are you doing?
There is so much going on. I don't know if we have time to tell you about all of them, but the kickoff, as Joanna said, is June 22nd at 3 o'clock. We have Philip Alexander and his family band coming. They're a lot of fun, lots of different instruments.
Because gone are the days of quietness in libraries, right? We talked about this last time. We have a quiet area, but now we actually can allow a little bit of the outside noise to come in and make the library more a community center along with books and other things, right?
Exactly.
So it's kind of the face of libraries changing a little bit.
Yeah,
because you wouldn't expect to see a band in most libraries.
Right, yeah.
But no. Okay, so you're having the band come.
We're having the band come, and that's going to be the first day that the kids can pick up their summer reading packet.
Okay, what's in this packet?
The packet has, the first thing they get is a prairie dog that fits into our summer theme of Dig Into Reading, and every kid will get to decorate it however they want.
Did you have to cut all these out yourself
We
personally?
have a die cut machine that cuts these out.
I
we have lots of wonderful volunteers
hours and hours of doing that.
Help us with it.
Those are cute.
So everyone will get one of these.
Yep.
They will get a Dig Into Reading bookmark.
Nice.
They will get a Dig Into Reading stamp book, which every time they come to the library, they bring that with them, and we give them a stamp, and they fill this whole book up with stamps. Every week there's a different theme related to the Dig Into Reading, whether one might be dinosaurs, another week might be worms, another week is planting in the garden. So we have stamps relating to all the different themes, and they can fill up their book.
You just were having a great time doing this.
Yeah, there's all kinds of good stuff. Yeah,
that's really cool.
And then they also get a log sheet that has little circles on it, and they color in the circle for each 15 minutes that they read. And when they fill in all the circles, that will be 50 circles, which is 12 and a half hours of reading. And when they complete this, they bring it back to the library, and they will have earned a Topsfield Fair prize package, which includes an admission ticket to the Topsfield Fair, 2 ride tickets, a free hot dog and drink, and a ribbon.
All that for reading.
All that for reading.
That's
awesome.
Right. And what is the fee to join the program?
No fee. Everything's free.
I love that. And you also are willing to accept children from other communities as well, within reason, of course. I think we want to try to have the Wilmington kids first, but you are open to allowing other communities' kids to come as well.
Exactly.
That's good. How important do you both think reading is to really development of kids or teens? How do you feel about reading as a whole, what it does for you? I have a quote here that reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body, and that was Joseph Addison said that in the 18th century. I think it's pretty true today. Either of you want to comment on that?
I would say that's very true. Reading's really important, and summer reading in particular is important. There's been research done that shows that kids who participate in summer reading have less sort of loss at the end of their skills are maintained and sometimes even enhanced by the time they get to school. They do better on standardized tests, not just reading tests, but other tests as well if they've kept reading all summer long.
Right.
So that's really important.
And I think it's also important too for the parents, grandparents, caregivers to get involved and read with the kids too. You know, not a do as I say, do as I do kind of a thing. If you're going to want your kids to read, I think it's important that you set a good example and do that too.
Absolutely. And that's why we really are encouraging the adult reading program as well.
And I'm glad the adults are getting prizes too, because, you know, I mean, it's great if my kids get a couple of Duncan's cards, but it might be nice if I got something too. How do you feel about adults who say, you know, I really would like to read, but I don't have time? Joanna will ask you that, and then if you have any time-saving tips, you can tell us too. What would you say to people that say, you know, I would love to read, but I really don't have time for it?
Well, I mean, I guess if you don't have time, you don't have time. There's nothing that's going to change that. But there's different ways, if you're interested in reading, that you can. I mean, there's audiobooks. If you have a commute to work, you can check out audiobooks and listen to books now.
Right.
We count that as reading.
Right. You also have Kindles or Nooks that you lend out too. So if you don't have the technology available, you can borrow it from the library, which is nice.
Yeah, exactly. So you can, exactly as you said, if you don't own a Kindle, you can check one out from the library, or if you do own a Kindle, you can check out ebooks through the library. And I mean, it's just a matter of, if you want to read, you can find 15 or 20 minutes.
That's what I was going to say.
You don't have to spend your whole evening reading.
I think we all kind of either, I'm one of these people who wants to finish a book in one setting. It's hard for me to read something that's this big because I get discouraged by not finishing it. So maybe the key is carving out a 15-minute piece of your day, maybe your lunchtime or your break at work, or maybe before you go to bed shutting the television off, carving out that time and knowing that you're not going to finish a whole book in 1 week.
Well, and you don't even have to ever finish it. I probably finish...
That's a sin!
I probably finish maybe a quarter of the books I start to read.
Are you a last page first reader too?
No, I just never get to the last page. But I mean, it's really about freedom, and I think that's what is nice for children and teens and adults, as well as kind of exploring different worlds, opening your mind, and kind of being in charge of your time. So if you want to read for 4 hours and finish the book, more power to you. And if you want to just read 5 pages and toss it aside till next week, I mean, no, it's a judge-free zone.
That you gave us dispensation for that, because I can tell you that I always feel guilty, especially for the writer, that I didn't read all of what they wrote. But now you just made me feel so much better.
Well, that's why it's good to come to the library too, because if you check it out for free and don't read it, you'll feel less bad than if you had bought it and don't read it.
That's definitely true. Anything else you would like our viewers to know about the reading program or the library in general? I know there was something else during the break that we wanted to add, so let's talk about that.
Oh yeah, Novelist is, if you're a fiction reader, it's a really great tool that we offer through our website. It's basically a database of fiction books and authors, and you can find books based on tone and pace and other kind of things you might not think about when you're searching for a book. So you would think of searching for a book and I'm going to look for an author or a title, but this you can kind of describe something and get back suggestions, or you can find books like other books you've liked.
Oh, I see. So this is like the search engines that we have where we type in one word and it gives us, 50 pages of things. This is similar to that, but it's a little bit tailored more towards books that are available. I like that.
Right. So if you liked The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, it's kind of a, I think it's a historical fiction. And if you like that, you could type in that name and it would give you books that were like that, so you can keep reading down that genre of books.
Excellent.
And if you like series books, it's oftentimes really hard to find the series in the order and know which one you're on.
Right, which is kind of what we were talking about before with, if you like a certain author and you've read everything they've written, or maybe they've changed their flavor a little in the last couple of publications they wrote, and you say, oh, the way they used to write I liked better. This will help you to kind of get things that are similar to that.
Exactly.
Excellent. So that makes it a more joyful journey, if you will, which is kind of great. All right, how do we get more information about signing up for these programs, ladies? How do we do that?
Well, our website has all kinds of information, and our brochures have all kinds of information.
Okay.
I wanted to point out a few more things.
Yes, please
in our
do. I would love
brochure,
that.
if
Yes,
I
go
may.
right ahead.
Some of our programs are you need to register for because we have limited space.
Right.
And on our website, if you go to our events calendar, all of the events are listed, and if you click on the event, it tells you whether you need to register or not.
Okay.
If you're looking at our
Does
brochure,
it also tell you if there's availability or not?
yes, if there's
good.
if the event is full, you can be put on a wait list, and then
Excellent.
you'll be emailed if space opens up.
Okay.
A lot of our programs are just drop-in though as well. We have a lot of so many fun things going on. I wanted to talk about a few more,
Yes,
if I
go right
may,
ahead.
if we
Sure.
have time.
Sure, we do.
There's the Big Wheels program is something we do in collaboration with the town of Wilmington, and the back of the library parking lot is filled with vehicles from all over town, fire trucks and lawn mowers and snow plows and all kinds of stuff, and kids come from all over town and get a chance to sit in the vehicle and pretend to drive it.
Wow.
And the operators are there and ask questions. So
That sounds neat.
That's always a fun event. We have a make your own ice cream program where kids come and they get a plastic bag and they fill it up with the ingredients and shake it, and it turns into ice cream magically.
That's awesome.
We, in addition, every time they come to the library, in addition to getting the stamps, we also have drop-in crafts. So if it's a hot day and you want to come in the air-conditioned library and just kind of hang out, there's there's the crafts that you can do. We have guessing contests. Every couple of weeks we're going to be changing. We have big jars that we're going to fill up with little plastic dinosaurs or little worms, and they guess how many things are in it.
And this will all go with whatever the theme is.
Whatever the theme of the week is, that's what the
Neat.
guessing contest will be. And
Now these also this brochure tells us the guidelines for age groups. I mean, some things may be appropriate for the wee ones and some not.
exactly.
So it tells you all that in there?
Yeah, we try to
Okay.
offer a range of things. We have as young as baby times. We're going to be having 3 different drop-in baby time programs that are for babies up
Well, you're
to
really
age
getting them started.
24.
Yeah. Eating in the womb with Barbara next month, right? That's great.
Yeah,
Good for
so-
you.
And then all the way up. Our program goes up through 5th grade, kids entering 5th grade.
Okay.
And then when the kids are entering 6th grade, that's when they're in the teen program.
Excellent.
So that's the dividing line.
So it sounds like
there.
really, I mean, if you're interested in anything, it's really available, and I'm sure folks can make suggestions too if they would like to add something for next season or what have you. I'm sure they
Sure.
can talk to you about that. Anything else you want anybody to know before we say goodbye to the people? Just come down and visit, I guess. Come and see what's happening, right?
Absolutely.
Good. I mean, with so much going on, why wouldn't you? And it's all pretty much free. I didn't see anything in there that had
No, nothing.
anything that you had to pay a fee for.
Nope, everything
All
is free.
Free,
When
free,
do you
free.
ever hear that in this universe? And you could win a Starbucks or a Dunkin's card too.
Oh, that's what I didn't tell you
Oh,
about.
good, tell us.
I talked about when you read the minutes, the 12 and a
Yes.
half hours, you
Yes.
get the Topsfield Fair. We also have kids counting their books, how many books they read, and
Okay.
doing entries online for each book that they read like the adults do.
Okay.
And for each book that they read, they get a sticker to put on their little
The gopher
the
or the prairie,
dog.
You don't wanna
And they
confuse
also get an entry into the Lucky Reader of the Week contest, which is a drawing for a free book. And they get an entry into the grand prize drawing, which is a Kindle Fire.
them. Wow.
So
That is a lot of nice stuff. Thank you, girls, so much for the hard work that you're doing at the library. And Tina Stewart and all of the staff over there. The technology folks were here last time. They're doing a great job over there, too. So if you need anything in the way of technology or communication, go and see these folks down at the library. That's what they're there for. I thank you so much for taking time out of your busy days.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
us. And I want to remind you, the next time somebody asks you, where's Wilmington? You tell them right here and right here on WCTV. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.